I have this entire bag full of random sock yarn scraps and different little cut up bits of ends of things, and I have spent, I think, over a year now working on my dream project, which is to turn it into a hexipuff blanket. The original project is called Beekeeper's Quilt, although I have taken inspiration from Claude of Retro Claude because she figured out that it's basically just the heel and toe shaping of a sock to make a hexipuff. I decided to go with the English paper piecing pattern of flowers, very similar to Retro Claude. I have previously completed 5 complete flowers, and I have figured out, I think, 4 different ways to make them. Firstly, the very original method, which is hand knitting the hexipuffs, takes me about 30 minutes per puff. Secondly, I used my circular sock machine because on my circular sock machine I can make heels and toes, but that required grafting right in the middle of a puff. So rather than grafting the stitches at the top here, I had to graft across the middle of the hexipuff, and that left some uneven finishes and was hard to stuff a hexy like that. The third way was on my flatbed knitting machine. The first way was just knitting it flat, and then I had to sew up the sides. That took quite a long time. The fourth method is that you can actually knit circularly on a flatbed machine if you have a ribber. That was the fastest of all, had very neat edges, but was very prone sometimes to dropping stitches, so wasn't also my favorite method, which is why today we're going to try the 5th method of making hexipuffs on my flatbed machine with just one bed. And I mentioned this in the last video update that I did on my hexipuff blanket because I realized that I had interpreted some instructions incorrectly, and you can knit it flat on the bed, like re-sew it as you're knitting it. So we're going to take a look at this one hexipuff. So on the flatbed machine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to knit towards the top, and then I'm going to start increasing again. When I start increasing again, I'm going to start hanging the stitches that I've already knit at the bottom here back on the needles. So I'm going to be sewing up the sides as I'm knitting the hexipuffs. I have 5 of these flowers made, so let's see how many more flowers I can make on the machine. Enough yapping, let's hop it over to the knitting machine. One of the things that I love about crafting is that it just really helps me kind of process my day, process my life, process what's going on. Hup. Yes! So does Nutella. She makes everything absolutely better. I always call her my dental assistant because I don't know why, but she's obsessed with my mouth. And I have to admit that I have been having a hard week. But yeah, being creative and creating things helps me on those times that are really rough and really hard. I wish that I could involve you more in the making of some of these hexipuffs today. You'll probably just get a lot of footage of me making them. And I don't mean to put this here as like bait, like to garner sympathy, just to let you all know that I still want to be doing these things and I still want to be creating things, and creating things helps me immensely. I'm just not as able to be quite as talkative as I might usually be. I might have been a little bit more energetic in the intro. I don't know. I haven't filmed it yet. The magic of these videos is that I actually tend to film my intros last so that I have a little bit better understanding of what happened in a project so that I can introduce it to you more appropriately, if that makes sense. I've already created 2 flowers worth of squares. I'm hoping to do one more. Like, I want to do this flower worth of squares and then I want to do one more. Yeah, there's hiccups and things that I would usually want to include for you all, or like talking through my thought process and things, but I don't have it in me right now. And I still want to share the process of making these hexy puffs with you. So please know that when I'm showing you this, I'm showing you the ones that are going well. I'm probably not including the ones that aren't going very well, even though that's what I usually like to do, is I usually like to show that nothing in crafting is straightforward always, and there will be hiccups, but part of it is working through those hiccups or figuring out what to do. I finished one little hexy puff though, and I'm going to do 5 more of this one. This yarn is kind of fun because it's a very, very slow gradient from orange to red, and I'm at the orange portion. And I don't know if I'll get to the red portion by the end of these hexes. This is something that I'm going to be very interested in. Like, look at that. Do you see that orange bit? And then it goes to red. So I'm wondering if I'll make it to there. It is a gradual, like it's a long gradient, but the gradient change is quite quick. So like each color stays around for a long time, but the switch between colors is kind of fast. It's this same kind of gradient that I used to make these socks. And like, look how quick that switch was from the darker blue to the lighter green. So I have one entirely blue sock and one that's half and half because the switch happened so quickly. So I'm very curious to see if we'll reach where the switch is. And if we do, how much of the hexy puff that'll take up. I'll probably put you on a time lapse and I will see you after I make quite a few more. Six more are off the machine. I love doing them this way because I feel like I'm making, honestly, a little garland of hexy puffs. It would actually, maybe a headband. Okay, I kind of like this one. In terms of color shift, we are so close. So I'll let you compare 2 of them. This is the very first one and this is the last one. And I don't know if you can see, but there are just the starts of some red stripes going on there. So if you look at the yarn itself, in the middle there, we are basically done with the orange and it's going all into the red now. So if I had one more hexy puff to do, I think it would be entirely red. But we are just shifting into the red now, which makes me kind of want to work with this yarn a little bit more. Or let me show you some of the other options. So I can also do the blue-green ones. This is the one that I made the socks out of before as well. It's got the same gradient. We'd have the same suspense as before where we're watching out for that color change. Or I have this like fun flecked one. So it's mostly beiges and then it has a few stripes of blue in it, which are also kind of fun. I've done a few like solid color or long color gradients and I like the ones that have like lots of little color changes because they look really fun. Let me show you what I've done so far. So I started off this process working on this green one. Absolutely beautiful. We've only got 3 on this chain. Are 6 in total of the green ones. It's just that I was trying out different techniques until I settled on that one. Then I did, oh, this is one of my other favorites. I wish I would have saved the yarn band for this. This absolutely stunning purple. I have a little bit more yarn of this left. I can probably do another 6 in this purple. The one you just saw me do, the very orangey red one. Another really fun one in my opinion, which has a lot of quick color changes, is this stripy pastel, almost pastel-y, purple, orange, pink. Another one like, what if I did? Oh, yes. I love it. I also realized one of the reasons I might not be feeling so good today, sometimes I miss the signs. I've got a migraine. I did take medicine that I have, so I'll be okay. It just definitely saps my energy and my focus a little bit. I just want to show a little bit more reality. One of the feedback that I've gotten often in my videos is that you appreciate, you know, I'll come on camera with like greasy hair, or I'll show my space and it's an actual complete mess, or I'll show my process and show how many times I really mess up. So this is just how I've been feeling this week. But I'm gonna do one more set of 6 because that'll be the 6 flower petals around the center. And then we'll see if I'm in the mood to do the flower centers. When I was starting these, it was between like 13 and 15 minutes per hexy puff. So a set of 6 takes me about an hour and a half to do. I will see you in a second. I'm going to be doing 6 hexy puffs with this. They're off the machine. The last set of 6 flower petals I'll be doing today. Let me show you a little bit of a close-up. I really like how the multicolor pattern bits of this have turned out. I like the speckles and the beige stripes. Just how it all comes together. I have a lot of options of how I can put this flower together, and the front and the back will be quite different on this one, which is also another fun thing. I timed myself. The fastest petal that I made of these lovely flower petals was 8 minutes and 40 seconds, but on average it was like around 10 minutes now, so I shaved a good 5 minutes off of making each one of these. So rather than taking an hour and a half to make 6, I only take an hour. The last thing that I'll do before going to bed is create 5 yellow centers. I'll see you when the 5 centers for the flowers are done. Here we go. So I realized that I already have 1 made yellow center and I only need to make 4. Also, I've been eating a ton of chocolate, so if my mouth is brown, that's why. It's full of chocolate. Very sunny, very happy. We've got a lot of these petals done, but we are a far cry from having a hexipuff flower created because all of these need to be stuffed and then sewn up and then sewn together. But I think that'll be something that I tackle on another day. So I will see you then. Welcome to my little crafting corner here. I have some of the fully finished hexipuffs. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 strips left to finish. I finished the green strip, all of the yellow centers, and I'm going to finish the rest of these colorful hexipuff strips. They're really fun. I love these little strips. Let me show you the results and tell you how long it takes. So you might be wondering exactly what goes into stuffing one of these hexipuffs, and you probably saw it, but I have this bag of just random scraps, either balls that are just not going to be long enough to turn into anything, way too many knots where I'm just not willing to untangle it, samples from the knitting machine that I don't think I can undo and reuse, and that is literally what I am using to stuff my hexipuffs. So my hexipuffs are stuffed with scrap yarn. That's how I use up the scrap yarn. So any lengths that aren't long enough to turn into a hexipuff will get still used in the hexipuff as its stuffing. When I weave in ends on my finished knitting and I snip off that little extra bit, I also throw this in this bag and I save that to stuff my future hexipuffs. I just finished the last hexipuff of this series and I've been timing myself on how long it takes, and it's about 5 minutes, just over 5 minutes. So for 6 of them, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, let's call it a good 30 minutes. And I still have 3 more strips of these to go. So it's going to be an hour and a half to finish all of these 3. So I guess at this point, let's calculate how long a flower takes. So a flower is 7 hexipuffs. Each hexy takes me 10 minutes. So that's 70 minutes plus 30 minutes of finishing, because it's 7 times 5 minutes, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Oh, it is 30. I can't even do math. So it's 35 minutes, including the center. So it's 70 plus 35 is 105 minutes, which is over an hour and a half per little hexy flower. And I have some math up on the computer for the size of blanket I want to make and how many of those hexipuff flowers I want to do. I'm going to talk to you about that in just a minute. Let me just finish up the rest of these. So I guess I'll see you in like an hour and a half. And that's not even actually finishing it because I haven't tied the hexies to each other yet. Let me finish up all the rest of the hexies and then we'll talk about finishing them and how much this entire project might take me in terms of time. Like how much time? How long? Oh, my brain is still a little muddled. Can you tell? So as a bit of a reminder, this is where I started. I had 5 of these flowers or rosettes. They're all attached to each other just at the corners here, but not attached flower to flower, just the petals to the center. And here is everything I just finished over the last few days. This definitely took longer than an hour and a half. Oh, Nutella is already sitting on them, which I love. I'm glad she finds them very comfortable. But now it's time for me to connect, I think first the petals to the centers. One thing I wanted to talk about is the way that some of these are connected. This one feels pretty good, but this one, I don't know. I think that is gonna fall apart. So I actually think that I want to mattress stitch each one of the petals to the center of everything and not just at the corner. Look at this beautiful configuration of hexipuff flowers. I'm so happy with them. I think they look beautiful. We've got 10 puffs done. I would say from starting on the machine of making each individual one, filling them, connecting them together, it's about 2 hours to finish one flower. So, I mean, a lot of the older ones took me longer, but we'll just assume this new timing estimate of 2 hours for all the flowers, which means that with my 10 flowers so far, I am 20 hours into this project, and I still have this many ends to weave in per flower, and they need to be attached to each other. I'm thinking about making a blanket that's big enough to cover my bed. I'm kind of a princess. I sleep by myself in a king-size bed, but that means that I used an online calculator for English paper piecing hexagons. For that, I need 87 flowers. So I've done 10, so I guess 77 more, and each time so that's like over 150 hours of work, which I can do, and I'm excited to look forward to doing, but I also don't think I have enough yarn for that. So of the scrap yarn that I have left, I think I can maybe make another 5 flowers like I did now, and I don't have enough for the yellow center anymore, so I'd actually have to buy yarn to make up this blanket, which seems a little antithetical to the idea that it created it. Like, you can 100% create this blanket with 100% new yarn, but I just kind of wanted to use it as a way to use up my scraps and make like a memory of each bit of it. Like, there's meaning tied to each flower that I make. So an idea that I just want to float to you all is asking for your help. Jenna Phipps, I know she's doing a huge house renovation right now, but a while back I was so inspired by her flower dress, and she asked her viewers to send in some flowers for her to make the entire dress. So I was thinking, what if I ask you to make like 6 matching flower petals, and then I like stuff them, make them up, and turn them into flowers for my quilt, and that would be so meaningful because each flower would be from one of you. I'm floating it out there right now. I'm not holding myself to it. I'm not holding you all to it. Please let me know what you think about that idea in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this iteration of the hexipuff quilt, then I have 2 more here that you can watch that you might be interested in the earlier versions and the other ways that I've explored to make these hexipuffs, so take a look at that. You might be interested. I know our time is precious, so thank you for choosing to spend this time with me, and I hope that I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye!